So in this video, I'll be doing an unboxing, setup and review of the Bitbox02 Nova, the most recent offering from Shift Crypto, and an update to what was already an excellent device in the Bitbox02, but finally an update particularly for Apple people that brings support for iOS devices, so iPhone, iPad and things like that. In terms of full disclosure, this device was sent to me free of charge by Shift Crypto, but they will not have seen this video or anything like that before it gets published. So let's get into it. And if you haven't already done so, hit subscribe, and that way you can stay in the loop for content I make to help you find your way in the crazy and often hostile environment that is cryptocurrency. So when you buy the device, this is how it comes packaged. All right, so this is everything that came in the box. Firstly, we've got a getting started guide, which is pretty straightforward. We've got some stickers and some compliance and legal stuff. It also comes with a USB-C extension cable, comes with a micro SD card, and then here we actually have the Bitbox02 Nova itself. And the actual device itself is quite straightforward. Basically, it has a USB-C plug on one end, a micro SD slot on the other, and the buttons are actually capacitive buttons, so there aren't any physical clicking buttons on the sides. There's like a little hole here to put like a little lanyard on, and this front side has the screen. All right, so that was the unboxing. It's all pretty straightforward. So let's just run through the setup using the getting started guide. And one of the key new features on this actually is Apple support. So I'm going to try and run through this whole process with an iPhone, because that would not have worked with the previous Bitbox. So first step is install the Bitbox app on your computer, smartphone or tablet. And this app here is the one we want, Bitbox app. So let's just get that. Okay, so step one complete. We have the Bitbox app. And yes, we'll allow it to find devices. Okay, so step two, insert the micro SD card into your Bitbox. Let's see. Yes, so that goes in there. Plug your Bitbox into your computer or mobile device. Now, okay, so this actually problem. This iPhone I've got actually has the old Apple Lightning connector and not the USB-C connector. So if your iPhone has the old Lightning connector, you are going to need an adapter. So this is going to be super jank, but this should actually work. I'm pretty sure the only thing this cable is doing is giving this device power. So let's just try this. Put that in there. We'll put our Bitbox over there. Aha, success. That's super dodgy, but it worked. There we go. And you can actually see it has detected the Bitbox just here, and we can see the name there is the same as the name there. So if I just select that, it's going to run through the setup on here. So, okay, I'll just say pair, and on here, I'll just tap there. Fantastic. Welcome. Get started by installing firmware. So I'll just say install firmware now. Okay, there we go. So we have installed the firmware and it has restarted. And this screen we get here is normally you'll see it says tap this side. So basically this can be orientated either way. So we've set the orientation. So now I'll just say create wallet. I'll just call this demo. Say done. Continue. Yep, I confirm the name over here, demo. Now set your password. So essentially the thing to keep in mind here is there are 3 buttons along the top and 3 along the bottom, and I'm using the top buttons to select what I'm going to enter and the bottom buttons to actually enter it in. So let's just try and set the password to be 1234 just to make it nice and simple. So I'll just say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll press the 2 buttons just to select it, so we'll enter it again. Success. All right, so you probably want to set it to be stronger than that, but that'll do for now. Okay, so the device has been set up. So basically now we're going to create a backup. So my backup is not password protected. If I lose it, it looks like it's going to just put it onto this micro SD only, so I don't think we're actually going to get a written copy of the seed phrase, which is pretty insane, but let's just go. So we'll set today's date. Yes. and you're ready to go. Please remove the microSD card from your Bitbox and store it in a secure location. Right, so instead of a physical recovery phrase, all we have is this microSD card. This unencrypted microSD card. So absolutely do not go sticking this in a computer or even storing it with this device. There is no protection on this whatsoever. Okay, so the initial setup is done, and we can see that we've got the Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum accounts that have all just been added by default. So let's just run through the workflow for sending and receiving some funds. So let's just go into Bitcoin and just say receive. And let's see, so basically, there is our address, and I can just say verify address on Bitbox. So it's going to show me that address, which will match what's over here, which is excellent. Oh, then the QR code is gone. Okay, so the only way to get that QR code is to actually have it up on the device at the same time. So this is really good, forcing you to make sure you verify your receive addresses. Okay, so those funds are on their way. So now I'll just tick that. And if all right, so I can actually click through and manually choose other addresses if I want to, and I can also change the script type if I want as well. But we'll just leave it all on native SegWit. We don't need the others. I'll just go back. And there we go. That pending transaction has actually appeared straight away, which is really nice. The question is, can we send unconfirmed funds? No. Okay, now the other thing I'm curious to see is, since those transactions are confirmed, if I hit receive, will it give me a new address? No, it does not. So the interesting thing here is that while you can manually select a new Bitcoin address for each transaction, can we go past 20? No, we cannot. Okay. Basically, it will actually keep using the same address over and over again, rather than automatically incrementing the address to a new one. So let's just send some funds. So I'll just say send, and we'll just say yes. Okay, so I'll just send the funds back to the tip wallet, and let's just send half of what is there, and we'll just say review. Basically then we have the details for the transaction over here, so we can see the address we are sending the funds to, verify them on the hardware, make sure everything is correct, make sure the fees look right, and then we just hold down to confirm. Now there we go, so it has sent the transaction over here. There we go, so that is how we send an outgoing transaction just on the phone app. Let's have a look at the other settings. So if I go onto settings, what can we do? So we can go into general, so we can change the language to any of these. That's for the Bitbox app itself. We can change the default currency. We'll just leave it as USD for now. We can also, we can actually have multiple currencies active as well, which can be handy. I'll just close the app. And we also can have dark mode. There you go, dark mode or light mode. So we can manage accounts, so we can actually add accounts. So we can add additional Bitcoin accounts and things like that. So you can have like account 2, account 3, and so on. So that is very handy. What else? So we can add accounts. We can also give our accounts names, which is nice. So I'm going to manage device. So let's see, so we can manage backups. So if I insert the microSD, okay, so basically it just shows us the ID of the backup and the date it was created. So I could say check backup. Just make sure it's intact. Okay, so we can at least securely verify that. We can, let's just take that out. Okay, so here in the Manage Device, we can also show the recovery words. So if we want to keep a paper version of our seed phrase, we can do that. So let's just unlock. There we go. Warning, do not share your recovery words with anyone. Yes, we know that. Please write down the following words. Okay, so we can write down our seed phrase, and let's see. So it's giving us a 24-word seed, which is nice. Good, strong checksum on that. We'll just cancel. And it actually does give us a whole bunch of other warnings here. Now, this is one of those times where if you're looking to store funds over the long term, it is definitely worth writing down the actual seed words, in that something like a little microSD card is very easy to lose and may not have the durability you need over the long term in the same way that something that is written down on paper or stamped in steel does. We can also change the device name. It's done an authenticity check. Firmware is up to date, and it actually shows us the secure element in this Bitbox02 Nova has actually changed since the previous Bitbox02, and this now is running the same secure element that you would find in a Trezor safe device. So we also have the Bluetooth firmware, which can be independently updated. We can enable or disable a BIP39 passphrase, which is an advanced feature, so it is nice that they've actually got some additional explanations that explain how important this actually is. It's not just a device password, and this is very good. So they're actually telling you to make sure you need your passphrase as a backup. And there's, again, suggesting that you write it down. Don't just try and memorize it. And again, I think this advice to write your passphrase down is very good, because it doesn't matter how good your memory is, nobody plans to have a head injury or a car accident or something like that. If you're using a BIP39 passphrase, it is an advanced feature. Make sure you write it down. Even the way that it tells you what happens if you have a typo, so it gives you a different yet valid wallet. So this is excellent. So forcing you to go through and do all of that, and only once you've done all of this does it allow you to enable the optional passphrase on device, which once we enable it, we'll just enter it using the normal mode. This is great. So it's even suggesting you do a small test transaction first, and it's literally stepping us through the whole thing. Now that we've done that, it's going to prompt us to enter our passphrase, which can just be no passphrase. We can just leave it blank, which will take us to the wallet we were on before, or I could just make a passphrase that is, A, B, C. Yep, this asks us to visually confirm the passphrase. And there you go, and you'll now see that since we've unlocked this with a passphrase, it's going to take us to a totally separate set of accounts which won't have any balance, including the funds that I just sent there before. So we can see here, no balance, no transactions, no nothing. So that's the BIP39 passphrase feature. So we'll just unplug and replug that. I'll just won't worry about a passphrase, leave that blank. Now this will take us back to the wallet we had before. So let's also, so what else do we have in advanced settings? We have custom fees, we have coin control, we have screen lock, enable Tor, we can't do that on iOS, testnet mode, connect to your own node. All of that. As well as being able to just export logs. Won't worry about that. And we can also just say about. So the other thing is, what is insurance? Oh, there you go. That is an interesting upsell. So basically, you can pay for insurance against burglary, extortion, or destruction for $30 a year for up to 100,000 euros. Okay. So basically, it's a third-party company. There you go. So work available in Germany, Austria, and maybe Switzerland in the future. So those are all of the features. So let's just run through using this with third-party wallet software. So I've got Sparrow here. So if I just say new wallet, I'll just call this Bitbox02 Nova. Call it anything. So I'll just say create wallet. And, oh, there we go. So it's actually prompted us to pair straight away. So we'll just confirm those numbers match. We'll say yes. And we'll just say connect a USB hardware wallet and say scan. There we go. So we'll just import key store, and look, we'll just stick with the default, which is going to be native SegWit. That's the same thing we added on the mobile app before, first account. And we'll just leave it as account 0 as well, because that's what we imported in the app. We'll just say import key store. There we go. So we'll just say apply. I won't worry about a password. And we should go into transaction history and see those 2 inbound transactions that I made before. Yes, there we go. So we've got those 2 transactions just there. And if we jump back over to Sparrow, where we were before, we can see that outbound transaction we just made on the phone is there. And if we just send the rest of the funds back out using Sparrow, workflow is the same as normal. Let's say create transaction, finalize for signing, and then I'll just say sign. And there we go. So you can see the workflow in Sparrow is a little bit different, but what we see on the screen is exactly the same. It shows us the address the funds are going to. Oh, that's interesting. So it actually shows us the lock time block and that RBF is enabled. So this is actually really helpful information to know that not all wallets show you. And there we go. Transaction confirmed. And there we go. So that transaction has been signed in Sparrow, and now I can just say broadcast. So now we can actually see that we have the 2 transactions having the funds come in and the 2 transactions sending the funds back out. So that's all very good. And if we're wanting to do Ethereum things on our PC, we can also use this with Rabby. So let's say I already have an address. Click on more and just choose Bitbox02. Set the password to unlock. This is the password for Rabby. I'll just make it password. All right, so to use Rabby, I need to install Bitbox Bridge. So there we go. So that has been installed. Let's see if it just works straight away. Yes, it does. So just like in Sparrow, we had a pairing code. So we'll say yes. And there we go. And we'll just say get started. Done. And now, if we go into Rabby, we can actually see the Ethereum that I sent there before. So let's just have a look and see what sort of information we get on here if we do something like a DeFi swap. So if we just want to swap all that to USDT, what are we going to see on the device? Sign transaction on Ethereum, yep. Right, so we are just blind. So this is complete blind signing. So it's basically saying unknown contract. You'll be shown the raw transaction data. And basically, it's telling you here only to proceed if you know exactly what this data means, which is pretty much impossible to know without just trusting your wallet software. Okay, so for smart contract, we are just blind signing. Though at least if I just go to send this back to my tip wallet, we should at least be just clear signing a normal transaction, just like with Bitcoin. There we go. Yeah, so you can see for just a normal transaction that you're sending funds, it's just like a Bitcoin address. So that does look correct. And we'll send those funds back to the tip wallet. There you go, transaction confirmed. And that transaction has now been sent using Rabby. So it can definitely store and send things like Ethereum, but for DeFi and stuff, you'll definitely be blind signing. So if I just do exactly what they tell you not to do and just shove the USB stick in, basically we just have some folders and we have these backups just in a binary format. Bitbox actually distribute a recovery tool that allows you to decode these backups into a standard 24-word seed. Though I also thought this would be something useful to add to my fork of SeedSigner. So basically you can enable Bitbox02 backups in the settings, and from there we can just take out the normal SD card because we don't need it. And from there we can actually just pop in the backup from our Bitbox02, go into seeds, and we can say from a Bitbox02 backup. And we can actually see the bin files that are on the MicroSD card. I'm not sure why it's on there 3 times, but it is. And basically then we have loaded that seed onto the SeedSigner. So we can see here now that we have the same seed on the SeedSigner that we had in Sparrow. And basically from here, we can just use this now like any other seed that we have loaded into a SeedSigner. So use it with Sparrow, Blue Wallet, or whatever. Another option to be able to regain access to your Bitbox02 backup if you can't get your hands on a Bitbox02 for any reason. Yeah, and the last thing to look at is that in terms of the hardware, basically this Bitbox02 Nova continues to uses the same repository as the Bitbox02. It's still open source, but it has not been updated with the hardware for the Nova. All of the stuff is in this repository for the new device, like the Optega secure element that is in the new Nova, but the hardware docs are actually still only for the original Bitbox02. The newer ones for the new hardware aren't there yet. So there you go. That is a quick overview of the Bitbox02 Nova. And the great thing here is that it does build on the strengths of the original Bitbox02 device, in that it is easy to use, in that it is a USB connected device, or Bluetooth in this instance, which when you use it with the vendor supplied software, just works, while also still giving you access to advanced features like stateful multi-sig and other things like that. Again, all features that were on the original Bitbox02, which were fantastic, which have found their way to the Bitbox02 Nova. There has been a slight improvement on the hardware side, but that won't really make a difference to end users for the most part, unless, of course, you are an iPhone user, in which case now you can use the Bitbox02 with your iPhone over Bluetooth. Though, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm definitely not a fan of the unencrypted backup to a microSD card being the default, in that it really seems to me this is neither the most secure nor most robust way to store backups over the long term, though at least the ability to create a seed-based backup is there in the menus and is not difficult to do if you at least know to do it, which a lot of newbies won't. If you're someone who has an original Bitbox02, there really isn't probably much of a reason to upgrade, unless, of course, you're an Apple user and want to use it on your phone. But either way, it's still a competent device. It is easy to use, as well as having the ability to be able to use advanced functionality for those who want to use it. The continued commitment to open source is fantastic, and there continues to be a wide array of third-party wallet software that you can use this device with, meaning that you are not dependent on the vendor supplied software to be able to use your Bitbox. I've added the Bitbox02 to my hardware wallet feature comparison, and you'll notice that there aren't really many differences from the original device, which isn't a bad thing when the original device was already good. If you think the Bitbox02 would help boost security of your setup, want to help me out in the process, I've got an affiliate link in the description. Likewise, if you have any questions about the device or any experience using it, just leave a reply in the comment section. I do my best to reply to all of them. Other than that, stay safe. Thanks for watching, I hope that was helpful. Hit like if you think that other people would find this video useful, and hit subscribe if you'd like to be kept in the loop about future content I make that helps people stay safe in the crypto space and to recover if they get into trouble. If you have any questions about this video or a topic that you'd like me to cover, just leave a reply.